Hey guys, it's Alex from Fresh Hands again. Today we're going to be cooking brisket. It's going to be a really long cook. We're going to be basically walking you through trimming this thing up. We're going to season it, we're going to inject it, and we're going to throw it out on the smoker. We're putting it on the night before, and then we're going to basically run this thing. We're looking at probably about a 15-hour cook, but we're going to take you through all the steps. Today we're going to be using John Henry's Texas brisket rub. I've never tried it before, so it'll be a really interesting experience to see what that's like. And then we're going to be injecting with Meat Church's Holy Cow injection. So let's go ahead and get started on trimming this thing up. Okay guys, first thing that we want to do is really just trim some of the fat off this thing. Oh, we'll admit that I am not a professional at this, but basically what we want to do is you want to get some of this kind of stuff off. When we look at the flat, we want to get about 1/4 inch of fat on here. And what we can see is we've got a really nice thick brisket here. Let me show you guys. And so like right here, we got that 1/4 inch right there. That's kind of what we want. Right here you see it's a little bit thicker. So we just want to take that down a little bit, kind of make it a little bit more streamlined. And then we're going to take some of this hard fat off because a lot of this hard fat's not going to render down. And we don't want that in our brisket anyways. And we want to basically maximize the bark. I'm a bark maximizer. I like to get as much of that bark as I can because I love burn ends. But we're just going to go in here and take some of this junk off. So let's just kind of get started here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the flat. That's this area here. This is the flat. This is the point. And so I'm going to go in here where I know I've got some thicker fat. I'm just going to start taking it off. I've got this nice Cutco Suntoku knife. It's not a bad knife, but I really like it for this because I can really use it at different angles of getting around the brisket. So let's go ahead and get started cutting here. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to inject this thing, and then we're going to throw our seasoning on it, and then we'll be ready for the smoker. So stay tuned. Okay guys, now that I've got my brisket all nice and trimmed up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start injecting it. Now I just got this little Traeger injector. May not be the best injector, but it does a pretty good job. And just to remind you guys, I'm using this Meat Church Holy Cow injection. So I went ahead and mixed up 2 batches of it. I'm not going to use all of this in the actual brisket here, but I'm going to go ahead and just start injecting and kind of stop whenever I feel like I've got enough in it. All right guys, and that's really all that I want to do here. I mean, now I've got it, you can see it's kind of coming out all over the place on this thing, but really what I can do is I can kind of rub this on here, and what that's going to do is it's going to really act as a binder for my rub that I'm about to put on. So let me go ahead, get a little bit cleaned up here, and we'll go ahead and we'll rub this sucker down and then get it out on the smoke. Okay guys, now that we went ahead and injected everything, I'm going to go ahead and use my John Henry's Texas brisket rub. And if you've seen one of these videos before, you know how it goes. I like to put it on pretty thick. And go ahead and just kind of pepper on there. Man, I wish you guys could smell this. It smells amazing. It's a big hot mess, isn't it? We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna let this kind of set up a little bit. We're gonna get the smoker started, and then we'll go ahead and we'll put this thing on, and we're gonna cook this all night. I do have to mention, I got this brisket from Costco. It was USDA Prime. I always say Costco has some of the best meat out there for the price, and I mean, this was just a really nice brisket. I love how this flat is so nice and thick and consistent the whole way through. This was a really nice cut of meat, so I was so happy to go pick this up today. So let me go ahead and fire the smoker up, and then we'll get this thing cooked. Okay guys, we're out at the smoker now. I've got my smoker set up at 225 degrees today. We're cooking on the Yoder Smokers YS1500. And today I'm using a blend of cherry and mesquite. It's a little bit of a different blend, but I'm trying it out on this. We're trying just a whole new process today. So let's go ahead and get this thing on and we'll stick a probe in it. We're basically gonna cook this until we get an internal temperature of 200 degrees today. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap it in your normal kind of pink butcher paper, Texas style that you would expect once we get to about 160 degrees. So let's go ahead, get it on, and then we'll start monitoring it. I'm gonna cook it fat side down. I find I have a little bit better luck doing that. I just take my probe, I'm gonna stick it right here into the thick part, and go ahead and we'll just set it up. Now I would like to mention, I'm using my fireboard today. The fireboard's awesome because I can monitor this on my phone, I can monitor this on the computer, I can send it to my brother up in Alaska and he can monitor what my cook looks like. This thing's great. You don't have to worry about Bluetooth range or anything. So we're gonna be monitoring on that, and then we'll go ahead and we'll see you back when we're about to wrap. Good morning everyone. It's cold and rainy out. My camera lady is still sleeping, but our brisket has reached about 160 degrees, so we're gonna go ahead and take a look, and then we'll get it off the smoker, wrap it, and put it back on until we reach that internal of 200. So let's look real quick. Oh yeah, look at all that nice bark development. Our point looks really good. Flat's got a really nice color. That rub really's got some nice reds and stuff in it. And you'll notice that I also put another probe down here into the flat, and that's just so that I can kind of check the temperature. They run about 20 degrees difference on average. So I'm gonna pull this off and meet me back inside. Okay, now that I've gotten this thing off the smoker, we were sitting at about 160 degrees. Man, I can just see this bark has really developed nicely. It's just awesome looking. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna wrap this thing. So I'm gonna transfer it over. I've got some butcher paper already laid out. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put it on this butcher paper. I'm gonna wrap it longways first. And there's no real specific science to this. You just wanna get it covered well. It doesn't have to be perfect, but there we go. And it'll sit just like that on the smoker. So we'll go ahead and hurry up, get this out, put our probes back in it, and then we'll cook it all the way up to 200 degrees. Hey everyone, we're back. We have just hit 200 degrees on this brisket. Let's take a quick look at it and then we'll get it off the smoker and then we're gonna rest it. Let's go in here and take a look. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. Oh yeah, so you can see I moved the two probes kind of closer together to where the point meets the flat, and we're sitting right at 200, but look at this thing. I mean, I can already feel it. It's nice and pliable. This thing's kind of right where we want it, and we should have built up plenty of really good bark. So we'll go ahead, get this thing off, and then we'll get it in the cooler to rest. Okay guys, this thing smells awesome. You can see it's nice and tender, but we can't go in and eat it yet. What we have to do next is we've got to get this thing in an ice chest. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it rest in an ice chest for about an hour, and that's gonna let kind of all the juices soak back into it. Oh man, like this is the best little position to be in right now. This thing smells awesome. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my cooler and we're gonna just put it in there. So I'm gonna move this brisket up here. Now, I'm using a roto-molded cooler today. This is a Bison cooler. It is an awesome cooler. It's got a really, really sweet lid graphic on it. But this thing will hold this brisket at an awesome constant temperature. almost to a fault. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this in there. And it'll get a little bit messy. You can put it in a tray if you want to, but I'm gonna clean the ice chest out later anyway. So we'll go ahead and put it in here, let it rest for an hour, and then we'll meet you back when we're ready to slice this thing up. So see you then. Okay everyone, it's the moment you've finally been waiting for. It's when we're gonna basically take this thing out of the paper and we're gonna cut into this and see if we did a good job or not. So without further ado, let's go ahead and open this thing up. So we're gonna take the paper off. Remember, we had 2 layers of paper here. I can just see that injection is just kind of oozing out of it. Oh man, look at the bark on this thing. Oh, this looks pretty awesome. Throw this in the trash here. Okay, look at this thing. Okay, so here, remember, here's my flat. I'll flip it back up, flip it on this side. So flat, and then here's my point. So I'm gonna go ahead and separate the 2 muscles here. And you can see that layer of fat running between the 2. So I just kind of try to follow that a little bit. This should separate out pretty easily. Just like that. So go ahead and put the flat over there. All right, look, here's my fatty piece. This is where all my nice burn ends are gonna come from. And I'm just gonna start kind of cutting some slices off, and you can see really well that the grain runs that way. So remember, you always wanna cut against the grain. So I'll just start cutting a few slices off here. You'll see, it's very tender, very, very juicy. Looks like we got a nice smoke ring there, and it's just falling apart. I'm gonna go ahead and try this really quickly. You can definitely taste that injection that we did. It's got a little bit of saltiness to it, but it's not bad at all, and it's definitely very moist. That injection really keeps things very, very moist. I'm gonna cut a few more slices off of this, and it's just wanting to fall apart here. And then we'll go cut a couple of pieces off of the flat. And then, actually, let's go ahead and let's cut the end off of this and cut a couple of burn ends off too. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh yeah, it's not burnt or anything. You got a really nice layer of bark on there. It's just absolutely delicious. Let's go ahead and check out our flat now. Sorry to be in front of you like this, but that is the privilege of being behind the camera, right? Or in front of the camera. So we can see that our grain's running this way. So we're gonna go ahead and start making our cuts kind of that way. And I'm gonna cut right into the middle of this thing actually. And let's just see. I wanna see, you know, I'm looking for a good smoke ring. I'm looking for a lot of juice. Oh yeah, look at that smoke ring running all along there. I've got a good 1/4 inch smoke ring. I've got my fat cap down here. This thing looks really nice and juicy. If you take a look at that there. Oh, I'm dripping everywhere. This thing looks like it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna try to cut a slice off really quickly. A little bit of a thick slice there, but that's a thick slice among friends. A little harder to pull apart, but it's the flat, but man, that looks really good. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a little piece. Oh, you can taste the injection. It's really moist. Actually, this is one of the most moist flats that I've ever had before, so that is awesome. So, man, guys, I definitely recommend it. Remember what we rubbed this thing down with? We use this John Henry's East Texas rub, and then we also injected with the Holy Cow brisket injection from Meat Church. I gotta say, I definitely recommend this product, and man, y'all need to go out and try this. So until next time, happy cooking.